I'm making this as we learn that the major hospital in North Gaza may well have been targeted. It's been told, it's been given advice to evacuate. Of course, that's an order, and there's 400 people apparently in there who cannot be moved. So this is a disaster waiting to happen. We also know that from the Israelis that there are Hamas tunnels directly underneath that hospital, and indeed quite a labyrinth of rooms designed for Hamas underneath that hospital. So Hamas is hiding behind medical facilities, hiding behind innocent civilians, and so on. Now, there are three options that are being that are being mentioned. The first is a pause in the fighting to allow people to leave and to seek sanctuary elsewhere. That would involve the opening of the Rafah crossing. The second is a ceasefire, which of course would put everything back to the situation that existed before the October the 7th terrorist atrocity. And the third is a general evacuation. Now, I don't think anyone is really talking about that. I've been suggesting it in one way or another for a few days now, for a few weeks, I think. And that would mean opening up the various gates into Gaza and allowing the Gazan civilians into Israel, and then setting up camps for them on this side of the border. That would then, it would also allow the Israelis to check the identities and the stories of the Palestinians who were coming in to seek refuge in Israel. I think that's the humanitarian thing to do. If Egypt is not prepared to open the Rafah crossing and let people into Egypt, Israel should let them into Israel in a particular area, into refugee camps. It will be difficult to control, but it will be significantly easier to control that than to constantly have the world press telling Israel that it is defying humanitarian laws and not keeping international laws of warfare, and not being proportionate. Of course, the whole issue about being proportionate is that if Israel were to respond in proportion to the way that Hamas attacked, that would mean killing innocent civilians in their beds, and attacking peace festivals. Arguably, Israel's bombing has killed innocent individuals in their beds. So far, I don't think they found a peace festival to attack. I don't wish to sound flippant, but there are options available, and the Netanyahu government seems very reluctant to find those options. And at the same time, the Netanyahu government seems more intent on creating havoc than it does in getting its hostages back. I think it's possible to get the hostages back, to demonstrate goodwill, and indeed to destroy Hamas. But that means opening the border to refugees. If Egypt will not do it, Israel should. And I'm perfectly prepared to accept that the knee-jerk responses of the past, the sudden bombing of bits of the Gaza Strip, do not work. But more of that knee-jerk response doesn't work either. It needs a serious approach, and it needs a approach festooned with humanity rather than revenge, and certainly not the idea of collective punishment.